A deal had to be made with Megatron.
Trying a new thing with the audio because the last video was very spiky when it came to the audio, so let's see how this goes. But this thing is large and I want to start in alt mode because the robot mode is something truly special. This is an oversized, slightly modified version of the Studio Series Sentinel Prime, a toy I sadly missed out on because of the lockdowns here. I was never actually able to get one, but this definitely scratches that itch of wanting a good Sentinel Prime because man, this thing's good. I was not prepared for how big this is. I saw MGo's review and it was big in there, but in person it's bigger than a meatball sub on Italian urban cheese. This fire truck is pretty well done, but it does have a couple of issues, the tabbing issues. So those are the lower legs. On mine, they do not want to tab together in the slightest. The tab is a little too thick, so I gotta shave that down. And the thick materials, by the way, will come into play in a little bit. And the tabs for the panels on the side, like tabbing the legs into the backpack, also don't like to tab in, but at least they do eventually tab in. They're just a pain in the ass. Otherwise, I really like this thing. The truck has some really sharp, really nice and clean angles. The overall shaping is super nice, but heads up, if you are an MPM collector like me, this does not scale well at all with any of them because it's just not made for them. It's made for a different oversized Optimus. But I do kind of wish that this figure, or at least a figure like this, existed to scale with MPM because I'd love to put it on the MPM shelf. Guess I just gotta wait another 10 years before they get to the Dark of the Moon MPM toys because they're still on the first movie. The wheels are big and chunky, which is really cool, but my middle ones don't like to stay in place. They like to slide up every now and again because that's how they transform, because they don't lock in, which can be a bit annoying when setting the vehicle down, but once you set the vehicle down and press the wheels back in, you're fine. The hose can articulate up and down and disassemble itself a little bit, which is cool. And that's pretty much it for the vehicle. It doesn't do much else other than just sit there and look cool, but it doesn't really need to do much else. It's just a really cool, really solid vehicle. Honestly, you could throw this through a window. Like, that's how heavy it is, and that's how good it feels. The plastic is really thick, a little too thick, which I'll talk about in a second, but it's thick enough for you to look at it and go, this is not gonna break. And I really, really like that. That's really nice. Transforming this figure from vehicle to robot is pretty okay, which is why I'm doing that. But transforming it from robot to vehicle, okay, so this thing replaces a lot of the plastic parts with die cast or with extremely thick plastic panels. However, those plastic parts on the original toy had the ability to flex a bit because they were thinner plastic, allowing the components to better tab in because they could flex around and tab into place. But the die cast bits and the extremely thick plastic parts do not want to tab in. They don't flex. They don't move like the original panels do, so they don't peg in as well as the originals. That's why I have such an issue tabbing the legs into the backpack. I gotta give it a real hard squeeze. I had to use a clamp the other day because it just would not want to stay lined up because those panels don't flex as much as they used to. So that can be a little annoying depending on whether or not your copy's tabs are too thick. Mine are a little too thick, so, you know, that's just an issue, and that makes me want to transform it less and less, which is a little unfortunate for a transformer. So that's just something to keep in mind. Robot mode, though, looks great. Credit to the Hasbro designers. The sculpting is really spot on. The way this guy looks, just stellar. However, legs. The legs look like they have positive camber, like Jeremy Clarkson. Hopefully somebody gets that reference. It's the way the outer knees are sculpted. It makes it look like the knees are bending inward a little bit, even though they're not. And the legs seem too long compared to the on-screen model, and that kind of throws the proportions off a bit. Like they have to be this long so that he can become a truck just due to the way he transforms. But because of that, that brings some proportional issues. But that's really my only proportional issue with this guy are the legs. The paint work is really nice, but a bit globby in some areas. Like they put too much paint on certain spots, and it makes it look like there's just blotches, even though there isn't. Like it's got this weird sort of, you know how when you see those paintings sometimes that have a little bit too much paint on one spot? That's what that looks like here. But the real winners for me are the hands, which are very well done and fully posable, and the head. That looks so good. It also has a light up feature, and batteries are included, and that's a good or bad thing depending on who you are. But the head is my favorite part of this figure. Even the behind the windshield bits, like those little canisters he's got in his chest, are picked out in paint so you can see them, which is really nice. Also, by the way, this is a fake chest, so if that's something that bothers you, then yeah, it will bug you, but I personally don't care about fake parts. But yeah, that is not the windshield in robot mode or in vehicle mode. It's on his back. Speaking of the back, let's talk about the backpack. It sometimes weighs the figure down. The feet aren't built well enough for this guy to stay standing straight up sometimes with that backpack, and it is kind of chunky and big. It's annoying and kind of affects the stability of the toy. However, he does come with accessories, and we'll get into those, but there is one accessory that not only helps with the look, but the stability of the toy. So let's talk about the accessories. He comes with the same swords the original toy came with, but they're kind of dinky. Get out of here. Instead, he comes with 2 new blades that are genuinely sharp, so be careful. Like, you can cut through paper with these things. That's how they don't need to be that sharp. But these look a hell of a lot better than the inbuilt ones that the mold came with. The shield he comes with is the same size as friggin' MPM-12 Optimus. Like, that shield is massive, and it looks super good in hand. It also feels really good. Doesn't feel like that thick, sort of yucky, oily plastic, nor does it feel like a thin, lifeless wafer. It actually feels really good. He also comes with what's been dubbed by my buddies the Ironhide Annihilator, which also lights up and, well, you know, annihilates Ironhide. In the book, by the way, Ironhide gets shot 4 times in the head. The book is way better than the movie. But the coolest accessory that he comes with helps with both the stability and the look, as I said, and that's a new backpack. The backpack that it's currently got is on a mushroom peg, a really hard to take off mushroom peg, so keep that in mind, but a mushroom peg. So you just slide it off and slide on these rubber bits, and yeah, this thing is now worth it. It just makes this figure jump to the next level in looks, and it's so cool. These don't feel like they're made of some cheap ass rubber too. They feel like solid, sturdy, yet flexible material that's gonna withstand the test of time. Well, hopefully anyways. I don't know what actual materials they use. This thing was cheap for the size of it, so. Posing on this guy is great. He has super sturdy ratchets that remind me a lot of Unicron Trilogy toys, but the feet and the way that the ankle tilt works, it's just a toe tilt, and it doesn't really help in poses, sometimes even making it a little more unstable because the toes don't really peg in, so like to fold forward, and he likes to lean forward. But the fingers are really posable, and the shoulders are die cast, so those are some pros. In the end, though, like, this thing is just, it's pretty good, but it isn't without its faults. Like I mentioned, the issues he has are annoying issues, but the pros of the figure kind of outweigh those enough to make me say, yeah, this feels like it's worth it. It just don't expect it to scale with anything unless you have that oversized knockoff of MPM-04 Optimus, because that's what this is made to scale with. Unfortunately, I don't have that, so he doesn't live on the MPM shelf. Honestly, I don't know where I'm going to display this. But it is really cool, a really nice figure, and I do quite enjoy having it. It's just a big, chunky Sentinel Prime, and I've always wanted a nice Sentinel Prime to go with anything, and this thing doesn't go with anything, but it is really, really cool. It's almost as big as Warbatron. I don't have Warbatron assembled. He's still packed away because of the renovations that just happened. But yeah, I got this off of Sir Toys. I think I got the last one, but they might have restocked, so you can check them if you want. There are other stores that sell them too. It's not sponsored, by the way, but I do like it and I do recommend it. But that's my look at Originable, Venerable, or OV-01 Sentinel Prime. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.